If you know much about the Meta Quest 3, you'll know that the mixed reality capabilities have been promoted almost as much as the virtual reality capabilities. I've been testing the Meta Quest 3 intensely since it launched, putting in hundreds of hours with the headset. I was particularly keen to try out the mixed reality capabilities of Quest 3, as this is the first standalone headset with what I would consider to be acceptable mixed reality performance. Meta has been really enthusiastic about mixed reality on Quest 3, and this video is going to share my thoughts on how it stacks up. I'm Andrew from VR Lowdown, and let's get started. The Quest 3 has two front-facing 4-megapixel RGB cameras and a depth sensor enabling you to put your headset on and see a pass-through image of the real world. Games and apps can then integrate digital objects into the real world, creating a mixed reality experience. The cameras are sufficiently good that you can walk around your room and interact with real objects without taking the headset off. The mixed reality content is generally engaging, and the use of depth sensor data to integrate features within your real room into the games and apps is an awesome feature. The pass-through image can be a little grainy in lower light conditions, and there is some distortion when you look at objects close up, but overall it's a huge step up in quality from any other headset I've tried. So is mixed reality on Quest 3 any good? And is it worth buying a Quest 3 just for the mixed reality content? Well, prior to purchasing the Meta Quest 3, I had minimal expectations for what mixed reality could offer, but it's been one of the standout highlights of this new headset for me. Whilst I've been a VR enthusiast for years, appreciating the immersive environments that it allows you to experience, I've underestimated the appeal of bringing virtual objects into the real world. Having tested dozens of mixed reality games and experiences since the headset was launched, I am now of the opinion that it is mixed reality rather than virtual reality content that's going to drive mass adoption of headsets over the next few years. Being able to play games such as 11 table tennis in my real world is both surreal and a ton of fun. I can place a virtual table tennis table anywhere in my real world and play table tennis against a virtual opponent while still being able to see all of my real surroundings. This helps to make the experience feel less isolating from the real world and provides me with much more confidence that I'm not going to accidentally bump into furniture or hit a wall with my controller. The mixed reality experience feels much more seamless with reality, rather than being cut off from the outside world in VR. Due to the quality of the pass-through cameras, if I need to get a drink or check my phone while playing, I can do this without taking the headset off. I can confidently walk around my house with the Quest 3 on, confident that I'm not going to bump into anything, and then resume playing at any time. There are multiple games now that integrate your real-world environment into the game. Games like TrackCraft, which is available on the Meta App Lab, make use of the room scanning feature and allow you to drive a car over your real furniture as well as virtual objects to complete a range of obstacle courses. First Encounters lets you shoot parts of your real walls and ceiling away to reveal an alien landscape as you zap alien blobs in a wonderful introduction to mixed reality that comes bundled with every Quest 3. One of my favourites is Piano Vision, which lets you overlay a virtual piano on top of the keys of a real piano, allowing you to learn to play the piano with the aid of mixed reality content that shows you what notes to play and when. Just for fun, I've been able to pull up a virtual screen in my kitchen to show me a recipe that I can then prepare. So that's some of the positives of mixed reality in Quest 3, but what about the drawbacks? Well, I'll be honest and say there are plenty of drawbacks. It's not all positive. Whilst most people I've spoken to have been really impressed with the mixed reality content on Quest 3, it's important to have realistic expectations to avoid disappointment. The quality is good enough, but it's a long way from perfect. The cameras only have a resolution of 4 megapixels, and their ability to function in low light is mediocre at best. In dull lighting, the mixed reality cameras produce a grainy image and visual clarity is markedly impacted. In a well-lit setting, it's pretty good. But even then, when you look at bright lights or out a bright window, the image becomes overexposed. Colour reproduction is mediocre, and there is a small but noticeable amount of latency between what happens in the real world and what you see on the screens inside your headset. As impressive as it is, it's a long way from matching human vision. You can read a computer monitor, but due to the limited resolution and contrast and degree of image distortion, I wouldn't describe it as being an enjoyable experience. You may struggle to read smaller text, and if you get too close to the screen, you will see quite a lot of distortion. It gets worse when you try to use a mobile phone. Whilst I can read my phone at arm's length with reasonable ease, when you bring your phone closer than approximately 50 centimeters to the headset, you will experience huge amounts of distortion and warping of the image, forcing you to hold your phone at a reasonable distance from your headset if you want to see the screen. You'll experience the same when you look at anything close up or bring your hands close to your face, which will then make your hands look larger than real life and distorted. This is due to the way the Quest 3 handles the pass-through image. It uses two external front-facing cameras to capture the image, and after it's done some software processing, displays these on the internal screens for you to see. This is known as pass-through AR, and it's extremely difficult to get this to perfectly match what you would see with your eyes. Part of this is due to the cameras being positioned in front of where your eyes actually are, so the image must be adjusted to compensate for this. Whilst this might seem like a software problem that can be fixed, it is exceedingly difficult to produce a truly accurate MR pass-through image. One option is to create a headset with true optical pass-through, but this is far beyond the limits of current technology. Or the other option is to use better hardware and software approaches to improve pass-through AR, and these will inevitably come with headsets over the next few years. As for now, it's acceptable, but it's far from perfect. What are your impressions of mixed reality on Quest 3? Is it a total gimmick, or is it a game changer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, despite the negative points that I've made, I actually think that the quality of the mixed reality experience in Quest 3 is a lot less important than you think. Although the quality of mixed reality on Quest 3 is far from perfect, most of the mixed reality applications and games that I've tried on Quest 3 use the real world as a background rather than the focus of the application. As a result, I've spent most of my time focusing on virtual objects that have been placed in the real world rather than on the finer details of the real world itself. In these scenarios, a little grain in the image or distortion has almost no negative impact on my enjoyment of the experience. For example, when playing Thrill of the Fight, a boxing game, I'm able to stand in the middle of my real room and box against a virtual competitor, spending the majority of my time intensely focused on the virtual objects, while having an awareness of the real world. Even though there is clear warping of your hands when you hold them up to guard your face, this has minimal impact on my enjoyment of the game, and I gain far more from having a mixed reality environment than I lose from the deficiencies of the technology. Even in situations where the pass-through quality is more important, I've still had a very positive experience. I've been able to use an application called Immersed to pull up multiple virtual screens that mirror my real computer screen while typing on my real keyboard. The level of clarity is sufficiently good that I can work unimpeded in this way, and I can see the keys and type on my real keyboard quite easily. I have the benefit of using large virtual monitors that really are very, very clear, and the fact that the mixed reality cameras don't produce exceptional clarity doesn't really impact the experience that much. With any new technology, there's a small group of early adopters who are prepared to put up with lesser quality and a more complicated setup to experience that cutting-edge technology. At some point, it becomes good enough for mainstream consumers to adopt, use, and enjoy. I think we're on the cusp of this with Quest 3, where I can pretty much let anyone use it, confident that they'll be impressed with the mixed reality capabilities and want to come back for more. Room setup in mixed reality on Quest 3. Mixed reality actually makes the room setup process in Quest 3 really simple, thanks to a new automatic boundary setup system, which uses the external cameras and depth sensor to scan your room. You'll need to complete this to make the most of games that use MR features, but it only takes 1 to 2 minutes at most to complete. After you select the room setup option within the settings menu, your headset will scan the room and incrementally add a digital mesh over the real-world features in your room and suggest a safe play space. It only takes a few seconds to set up, and you can manually adjust the suggested play space if desired. The digital mesh will cover all of your furniture quite well. It's not quite perfect, and it will miss smaller features in your room, failing to map them properly. In addition, I have a glass coffee table in my living room, and due to the coffee table being transparent, the headset is not able to detect that the table is there at all. I have to manually mark out the table, or of course I can move the table out of the way. There is still an option to manually draw your own play space, and the clarity of the mixed reality cameras makes it easy to walk around your room drawing a boundary that you're happy with. Is there much mixed reality content for Quest 3? Well, there's a lot of existing VR games that have had mixed reality modes added, and I've actually been impressed by the number of titles that have done this. But there are a relatively limited number of titles that have been designed with a mixed reality first approach. Games like First Encounters, Lego Brick Tales and BAM give us some indication of the type of experiences that are possible in mixed reality, but for now, most of your mixed reality experiences will be in additional content or modes that have been added to pre-existing VR games. For right now, things do feel a little limited. So should you buy a Quest 3 for its mixed reality capabilities? Despite being impressed with the mixed reality capabilities of Quest 3, it's not a headset that you should buy for the mixed reality functionality alone. This is still a headset that you should buy if you want to experience great VR content. But I think you'll be very impressed by the mixed reality experience as well. It adds to the feature set of Quest 3 and makes it overall a much better headset. But I think if you're only interested in mixed reality and you buy the Quest 3, you may come away feeling a little underwhelmed. I remember seeing the reveal presentation for the Apple Vision Pro in June 2023, and I had mixed feelings about the MR first approach that they seemed to be taking. But having used the Quest 3, I'm 100% convinced that this is the way forward for future headsets. It's just a much better user experience and makes the process of using these headsets much easier and more seamless. I think the mixed reality capabilities of Quest 3 are good enough that it doesn't get in the way of having an enjoyable experience. It enhances a headset that I've already been very impressed with in most respects. I can't wait to see what developers come up with to make full use of the mixed reality capabilities of the Quest 3 and future headsets. It's going to be a very exciting few years as we see this technology maturing. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a pleasure to make it. If you've liked it, please press the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks very much, guys. Looking forward to the next video. Take care till then.